Hi everyone, this is a Neon solo run on Dimensions End Transcendence Tier 10 Reckoning stage. There's a few critical things to take note of for this run to be successful, and I will be covering them in this video. First off, this is the only turn that any enemy will get in this run, and I'm not saying that to brag, because the more turns the enemy gets, the more likely your run will fail, and I'll cover more into why. The very first thing you need to do is to stop the boss from turn warping, and to do that you need to land 7 debuffs total on the boss. Unfortunately, Neon herself carries only 1 debuff. There is no call ability in the game that lands 6 debuffs. However, Faris' call lands 5, so what you have to do is give Faris a Refined Sphere that lands 1 debuff that is separate from hers. I gave Faris a Setzer Refined Sphere, and that's enough. You don't need the full sphere, a Refined Sphere will do. Setzer Sphere allows the call to land a speed down debuff as well, so meaning when you use Faris' call at the start, it lands 6 debuffs, and that totals to 7 debuffs in all. Now, coming back to what I said about the enemies getting too many turns, a Neon solo on this stage is essentially a DPS race against the clock, and the clock here is the enemy's force gauge. You must kill the boss before the enemy's force gauge hits 100%. If the enemy force gauge hits 100%, it is game over. And this is extremely tight, because in a solo run, if you take a non-instant turn action, it drastically increases the force gauge on both sides. And this implies a few things. Firstly, you need every bit of room that you can get. I end the fight with the enemy's force gauge at about 99%, and likely you will as well. When an enemy takes a turn, they also charge their force gauge, and this is why you want to prevent the enemies from getting turns. Any turn beyond the first turn that the boss takes gives the enemy a few percent force gauge, and that drastically plummets your chances of winning before they hit 100%. This also implies that you can't do too many non-instant attacks outside of summon mode. You should try to maximize using them inside summon mode, because summon mode freezes the enemy's force gauge. Anyway, coming back to the fight, what I'm doing after the Faris call is simply spamming Asura until EX is charged, and then I use EX and continue back to Asura. Only use S2 when all 3 enemies' Brave has reset and EX is not ready. At this point, I still have not used LD, so Neon is not doing any rainbow damage, but that's fine, because when the boss is above 79% health, the enemy's defense isn't that high, and Neon will still be able to cap out on damage without using her rainbows. Right here, the first wave of minions have died from the splash damage, and this is where I'm about to use her LD. When the boss revives the minions, they come back with some Brave, so what I'm doing is hitting Asura until the boss has reset its Brave as such. Do not use EX until all 3 enemies can be broken by it, because you want the simultaneous delay. Using EX to break all 3 enemies gives you the rare opportunity where you are ahead by 1 turn on the turn order bar, so this is your opportunity to use LD on the boss. Getting rainbows here is pretty important, because the boss is about to hit 79% health and get buffs on its stats. After using LD, you are back to the same rotation of spamming S1 and EX. However, there is one difference here, and that is, do not use S2 any longer. Neon's overhead will fall off, that's true, and she will lose some stats, but that's fine. You don't want to use S2 any longer here, because the boss is about to hit 100% force gauge. At this point, after using LD, it is also no longer important to re-break all 3 enemies at once, because you are about to pop summon. So just use Asura until EX is charged, and use Asura until EX is charged, and rinse and repeat all the way until the enemy's force gauge is roughly around 96 to 97%. I'm about to hit 96-97% force gauge. Very important, you must keep a close eye on the enemy's force gauge here, because like I said, if they hit 100%, it is game over. Sorry, I had to pause the game due to some real life distractions. I was considering whether or not to just pop summon here, which is why this part you see me pause for quite a long time. But I ultimately decided to just use the 2 free Asuras on the boss and bring the enemy's force gauge to 97% right here. When the boss hits 97% force gauge, you have to pop summon. Inside summon mode, there are 3 things that you want to do and you need to take note. The first is you must use a few instant turn abilities so that you get to sort of push the enemy's turns back after summon mode. Second, you also want to use some non-instant turn abilities just because they deal a lot of damage, and you need to reapply Neon's overhead with her S2 as well. Thirdly, you want to use an instant turn ability, ideally EX, as the last move inside summon mode. If you do a non-instant turn ability last, the boss will get a few % force gauge when you exit summon mode and will hit force time. Before using EX at the end, you also want to use S2 just to refresh her overhead to 8 stacks. I will list the actions that I took right here for reference, but it is important for you to understand why these actions are taken in such an order. Coming out of summon mode, the boss will be actually pushed pretty far back. The minion's turn will be closer to your turn because it's a fresh set of minions that the boss has summoned. Firstly, what you want to do here is use 1 additional ability, and this brings the enemy's force gauge to 99%. Like I said, it is going to be very tight. At enemy's force gauge 99%, immediately use FR to freeze their force gauge. After using FR, use 1 Asura on the boss. Asura gives you plus 80% force gauge bonus, so that's ideal. And then follow this up with BT plus, which brings you to 8 turns of force time remaining. Right here I'll be entering BT mode. Notice that Neon's overhead is running low. This is why you want to refresh her overhead right before coming out of summon mode. If her overhead falls off before she enters BT mode, it is a huge DPS loss. Inside BT mode, the skill that you want to spam the most is S1 because again, it is single target, which is ideal, and it gives you plus 80% force gauge, which is also ideal. Use EX first to trigger the free skill use. This allows you to use 3 S1s back to back. This leaves you with 2 more turns inside BT mode, which I then use on LD and FR before using the BT finisher. You will be exiting BT mode with only 1 turn of force time remaining, And to note, you must kill the boss by the end of your force time. If the boss survives, it is game over. The damage requirement is pretty tight, and this means that you must have a 5/5 ultimate weapon equipped on Neon. Coming out of PT mode, use a Force Echo on Neon. This brings you at 900% plus Force Gauge bonus and still retain the 1 turn of Force time remaining. Then use LD on the boss to hopefully close off the fight. If you couldn't finish off the boss here, even though Neon is fully maxed, that meant that you didn't manage to squeeze out enough damage before popping summon mode. I died quite a lot of times at the boss 1% health remaining, so I know the feeling. Anyway, that's it for this run. As always, I hope the video has been helpful, and if you enjoy the content, do leave a like, comment and subscribe. Helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next Shinryu fight. Bye!